Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we blend casual conversations with insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets. Today, we're diving into a pool of fascinating tech trends.
Okay.
Get this. We're talking about the future of TikTok. Amid security concerns, the exciting world of private tech investments,
Yeah.
and the intense rivalry between SpaceX and Blue Origin in the space race.
Wow.
And hold on tight, because we'll even touch upon the possibility of bringing back extinct species.
Oh, wow.
Ready to explore the cutting edge of tech? Let's dive in.
What's really interesting is how each of these topics you mentioned reveals how rapidly technology is evolving
Right.
and what that could mean for us.
Okay, let's start with TikTok.
Okay.
It seems like it was just yesterday. Everyone was glued to the app, and now it might be banned in the U.S.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
The main concern revolves around data security and TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, which has potential ties to the Chinese Communist Party.
Right.
U.S. lawmakers are worried about American user data potentially being accessible to the Chinese government.
Right, and TikTok tried to address these concerns with Project Texas, aiming to store U.S. data locally. Did that work?
Not quite. Investigations revealed vulnerabilities suggesting that data wasn't as secure as TikTok claimed.
Oh, wow.
Now the U.S. Supreme Court is considering legislation that could force ByteDance to sell TikTok.
Right.
It's a pretty high-stakes situation.
Wow, that's a game changer.
Yeah.
What would happen to TikTok's massive user base if the app were to disappear from the U.S.? What about all the creators who rely on the platform?
ByteDance has hinted at a potential shutdown if the law passes.
Wow.
But it's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
This could be a strategic move to improve their negotiating position.
Okay.
Interestingly, there are whispers of potential buyers, including big names like Frank McCourt and Kevin O'Leary,
Oh, wow.
showing interest in acquiring TikTok.
Wait, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Now, that would be an interesting twist. But seriously, could TikTok even survive a sale? What would change for users?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
Any potential buyer would need to demonstrate a serious commitment to data security, possibly by ensuring data localization and proving that the platform's algorithms are no longer tied to Chinese ownership.
I see.
This whole situation raises important questions about how we balance national security and user privacy in this digital age.
And this isn't just limited to TikTok, right? There were probably tons of other apps out there with similar data security risks.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Take Lemonade, for example.
Lemonade.
It's another app created by ByteDance.
Oh, wow.
And guess what? It faces similar data security concerns.
So focusing on banning individual apps might not be enough.
So focusing on banning individual apps might not be enough.
So are you suggesting that we need to entirely rethink how we approach data security?
Exactly.
Okay.
We need broader structural reforms to address the root of the problem. Banning individual apps is like playing a never-ending game of whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
For example, the recent data broker law, which prevents the sale of sensitive data to foreign adversaries, is a step in the right direction.
Right.
But how effectively it's implemented is what will really matter.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah.
But shifting gears a bit, let's talk about something a little less contentious.
Yeah.
The world of private tech investment.
Nope.
It seems like everyone's pouring money into U.S. tech companies these days.
It's true. And it's not just hype.
Okay.
Companies like Anthropic, Rippling, and Figma are attracting significant investment because of their potential for growth and innovation.
Wow.
They're at the forefront of what's next in tech.
And I've heard that investors are using two main strategies to get involved, right? Direct primary investments and the secondary market.
You got it.
Okay.
The secondary market is especially intriguing because it offers liquidity and diversification.
Okay.
Investors can essentially buy shares in privately held companies, even ones facing geopolitical challenges like ByteDance.
So it's like getting a sneak peek at the future of these companies before they even go public. That's pretty cool.
Exactly. It's a way to bet on their potential early on.
Well, that's all fascinating stuff, but let's take a break from the financial side of things and blast off into space for a bit.
Yeah.
The rivalry between SpaceX and Blue Origin is heating up, and it feels like we're witnessing a modern-day space race.
Yeah.
What's the latest in that arena?
SpaceX is definitely making waves and currently seems to be leading the pack.
Okay.
Their recent transporter mission carried an incredible 130 payloads into orbit.
Wow.
And get this, half of those belong to companies within their portfolio.
Right.
They're not just launching satellites, they're actively building a space-based economy.
Speaking of big moves, they also just launched lunar rovers For NASA?
Uh-huh.
The ones that are going to help pave the way for humans to return to the moon? That's pretty mind-blowing.
It really is. And then there's Starship, SpaceX's ambitious next-generation spacecraft.
Wow.
Imagine a future where space travel is more affordable and accessible with missions to Mars and beyond.
It's a game changer.
It's a game changer.
But Blue Origin isn't going down without a fight.
Oh, no.
They've got their New Glenn rocket, which is designed to compete with SpaceX's Falcon 9 and Starship.
Right.
What's their strategy?
Their approach is interesting.
Okay.
Blue Origin initially focused on suborbital tourism with their new Shepard rocket,
Okay.
offering a taste of space to those who could afford it.
Okay.
But with New Glenn, they're shifting gears, aiming for heavier payloads and lunar exploration.
It's like a high-stakes game of chess, with each company making strategic moves to dominate the space industry.
Yeah,
But in the end, this competition is good for everyone.
I agree.
It drives innovation,
Yeah,
pushes boundaries, and ultimately expands what's possible in space exploration.
I agree.
It's an exciting time to be following the space race.
But let's take a closer look at what it takes to actually get a rocket off the ground.
Yeah, it's not as simple as just strapping a giant engine to something and hitting the go button, right?
Yeah,
Overcoming Earth's gravity is no small feat.
you're absolutely right.
Okay.
A rocket launch is a delicate dance with physics. There are key phases involved,
Okay.
starting with the initial vertical ascent,
Oh.
followed by a maneuver called pitching downrange to gain horizontal velocity.
Why is that pitching maneuver so important?
Imagine throwing a ball straight up.
Okay.
It comes straight back down.
Okay.
But if you throw it at an angle, it travels farther before gravity pulls it back to Earth. It's the same principle with rockets. To achieve orbit, they need to balance the forces of gravity and forward motion.
That makes sense. So
Yeah.
the rocket is climbing at an angle, picking up speed, and then what?
Well, there's a critical moment called max Q, which is when the aerodynamic forces on the rocket reach their peak.
Oh, wow.
It's like hitting a supersonic speed bump, and surviving it is vital for the mission's success.
And if it makes it past that, what happens next?
Then comes stage separation.
Okay.
The first stage detaches and returns to Earth, while the second stage continues to propel the payload further into space.
And this is where reusable rocket technology comes in, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
SpaceX has been at the forefront of this, landing those Falcon 9 first stages back on Earth. This reusability makes space exploration more sustainable and cost-effective,
Okay.
opening up a world of possibilities.
It really is incredible to see how far we've come in such a short time.
Yeah.
Speaking of pushing boundaries, let's wrap up this part of our deep dive with a topic that sounds like something straight out of science fiction. Bringing back the woolly mammoth.
Believe it or not, de-extinction is becoming more of a reality than a fantasy.
Okay.
Colossal Biosciences is leading the charge, and they're not stopping at mammoths.
Wow.
They're also looking at reviving the thylacine, also known as the Tasmanian tiger, and even the dodo.
Wait, how is that even possible? Are we talking about cloning or something?
It all comes down to cutting-edge genetics and gene editing, particularly CRISPR technology.
Okay.
In the case of the mammoth, they've collected ancient DNA, assembled the genome, and compared it to that of the Asian elephant, their closest living relative.
So they're basically rewriting the genetic code to bring back those mammoth traits. That's wild.
Right.
But don't you need a mother mammoth to give birth?
That's where things get even more futuristic.
Okay.
They're working on developing artificial wombs to enable ex utero births.
Wow, births outside the womb. That's straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It is.
That's incredible, but we'll have to dive into that more in the next part of our deep dive.
Absolutely.
Oh.
We'll unpack the mind-blowing world of de-extinction and how it could revolutionize conservation.
Awesome.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to Byte-Sized Tech. Before we went on this short detour into the world of de-extinction, we were exploring some of the cutting-edge advancements happening right here on Earth.
It's amazing how technology is constantly pushing boundaries in ways we never thought possible.
It really is. And one area where this is incredibly apparent is the rise of decentralized social media.
You know, it's interesting how we've all just kind of accepted that a handful of big companies control our entire social media experience.
Right.
It feels like there should be another option,
Yeah.
one that gives users more control.
That's exactly what decentralized social media aims to do.
Okay.
It's all about empowering users by giving them ownership over their data, their feeds, and their online interactions.
I've heard the term middleware thrown around a lot in this context.
Right.
Can you explain what that is and how it plays into this decentralized vision?
Think of middleware as a layer of software that sits between you and the social media platform.
Okay.
It gives you the ability to customize your experience in a way that traditional platforms don't.
Okay.
Instead of being at the mercy of algorithms and moderators, you have more control over what you see and how you interact.
So instead of being bombarded with content I don't care about,
Yeah.
I can actually curate my own online world? That sounds pretty appealing.
Exactly.
No.
Platforms like Blue Sky, for example, let you create and subscribe to feeds tailored to your specific interests.
I see.
You can choose what you see, what you don't see, and even filter out content you find objectionable.
It's like having your own personal social media butler. No more doom scrolling or endless political rants, just the content I actually want to see.
Right.
That's pretty revolutionary.
It is. And it's not just about personalized feeds.
Okay.
Decentralized social media also gives you more control over your data.
Okay.
Instead of handing over your personal information to a big corporation, you retain ownership and can choose how it's used.
That's huge, especially given all the privacy concerns surrounding social media these days.
Right.
But how does this decentralized approach work with the existing social media giants?
Right.
Can they even coexist?
That's one of the big challenges.
Okay.
Interoperability, or the ability of different platforms to seamlessly connect and communicate with each other.
Is crucial for decentralized social media to truly take off.
Okay.
Right now, the big platforms don't have much incentive to play nice.
I guess it makes sense from their perspective.
Yeah.
Why would they want to give up the control they have? They've built these massive empires on centralized platforms.
But here's where things get interesting.
Okay.
Even figures like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg have started talking about giving users more control over their feeds.
Wait, really? Those are two of the biggest names in social media.
Yes.
It sounds like they're starting to feel the pressure from this decentralized movement.
It certainly seems that way.
Yeah.
And there are already successful decentralized platforms out there, like Mastodon,
Mastodon. Okay.
proving that this model can work.
Okay.
Mastodon is a great example of how middleware can function independently of those big tech companies,
Right.
giving users more control over their online experience.
This whole thing is giving me hope for the future of social media. But let's be realistic. Decentralized platforms face some serious challenges, right?
Right.
Like, how do you moderate content effectively when you don't have a centralized team?
Yeah,
It seems like it could easily descend into chaos.
that's a valid concern.
Okay.
Scalability and content moderation are definitely hurdles that need to be addressed.
Right.
But decentralized platforms are exploring innovative solutions. Some are using labeling systems where users can flag content,
Right.
promoting community-driven moderation. Others are experimenting with different governance models that empower users to have a say in how the platform is run.
That's a pretty neat approach, tapping into the collective intelligence of the community.
Yeah.
But let's not forget about the economic side of things.
Right.
Someone has to pay for all this, right?
All right.
How can decentralized social media be sustainable?
That's another crucial question.
Yeah.
There are various models being explored,
Right.
from subscription services to micropayment systems and even partnerships with organizations that are aligned with the values of decentralized communities.
So it's still early days, but the potential is definitely there.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the timing is perfect. People are fed up with the current state of social media.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
There's growing discontent with moderation policies, privacy concerns, and the lack of control.
Yeah.
People want a better alternative, and decentralized social media offers a glimmer of hope. It represents a shift in power, from large corporations back to individuals.
It's almost like a digital revolution brewing.
It is.
But while we wait for this social media shakeup, how about we turn our attention back to the final frontier? Remember those incredible rockets we were talking about earlier?
Oh, yes. The epic battle between SpaceX and Blue Origin.
Right.
They're both making groundbreaking advancements, pushing the boundaries of space exploration.
Yeah.
But have you ever wondered what it actually takes to launch a rocket, to defy gravity and propel a payload into orbit?
You know, I have. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a launch, but I've always been curious about the science and engineering behind it all.
Well, it's truly a marvel of human ingenuity.
Okay.
Think about it. A rocket has to overcome Earth's gravitational pull, break through the atmosphere, and withstand extreme temperatures and pressures.
Yeah.
It requires an incredible amount of power and precision.
It's like launching a skyscraper into space. Break it down for me.
Yeah.
How does a rocket actually get off the ground?
It all starts with the engines.
Okay.
Rockets use powerful engines that burn fuel to create thrust, the force that propels the rocket upwards.
Okay.
The initial liftoff is vertical, but then the rocket gradually tilts or
Wow.
pitches downrange to gain horizontal velocity.
Why is that tilting maneuver so important?
It's all about achieving orbit.
Okay.
To stay in orbit, a rocket needs to balance the forces of gravity and forward motion.
Okay.
If it just went straight up, it would eventually be pulled back down to Earth by gravity.
That makes sense. So the rocket is climbing at an angle, picking up speed, and then what?
Well, there's a critical moment called max Q,
Max Kia.
which we touched on earlier.
Right.
This is when the aerodynamic forces on the rocket are at their peak,
Okay.
putting immense stress on its structure.
Kind of like hitting a supersonic speed bump.
Exactly. If the rocket isn't designed to withstand those forces, it could break apart.
Oh, wow.
But if it survives max Q, then the next big step is stage separation.
Yes, that visually stunning moment when the rocket sheds its booster stage.
Right.
It's always such a dramatic part of the launch.
It's not just for show.
Okay.
Stage separation is all about efficiency.
Okay.
By jettisoning the heavy first stage, the rocket becomes lighter and can accelerate more easily.
Right.
The second stage then takes over, carrying the payload further into space.
It's fascinating how much thought and engineering goes into every single aspect of a launch.
And one of the most exciting advancements in recent years has been the development of reusable rocket technology.
Yeah, those SpaceX landings are always so incredible to watch.
Yeah.
It's like something straight out of a science fiction movie.
It's a game changer for the space industry.
Right.
Reusability makes launches more affordable and sustainable,
Right.
opening up new possibilities for exploration and research.
It's mind-blowing to think about how far we've come in such a short time.
Yeah.
From those early experimental rockets to these sleek, reusable spacecraft.
Right.
It makes you wonder what other seemingly impossible feats of engineering we'll achieve in the future.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Speaking of pushing boundaries, remember that mind-blowing concept we touched on earlier?
Yeah.
De-extinction?
Oh, yeah, bringing back extinct species like the woolly mammoth.
Yeah,
That's some next-level science fiction stuff right there.
it is.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
How is that even remotely possible?
It might sound like science fiction, but it's quickly becoming science fact.
Wow.
The key lies in cutting-edge genetic technology, particularly a revolutionary gene editing tool called CRISPR.
CRISPR. I've heard that name before. It's
Right.
making waves in all sorts of scientific fields, right?
Exactly. CRISPR allows scientists to precisely target and modify DNA sequences.
Okay.
In the case of de-extinction, they're using CRISPR to analyze ancient DNA from extinct creatures and compare it to the genomes of their closest living relatives.
So they're essentially rewriting the genetic code to bring back those lost traits. That's wild.
It really is.
Okay.
For example, with the woolly mammoth,
Yeah.
scientists are comparing its ancient DNA to the genome of the Asian elephant,
Uh-huh.
its closest living relative.
Right.
By identifying the key genetic differences that made a mammoth,
Right.
they can use CRISPR to edit the elephant's genome, essentially reviving those mammoth traits.
That's incredible. But I have a question.
Yeah.
Even if they can manipulate the genes, don't you still need a mother mammoth to give birth?
That's where things get even more futuristic.
Okay.
Along with gene editing, researchers are also working on developing artificial wombs to enable births outside the womb, a process called ex utero gestation.
Wait, hold on. Births outside the womb.
Yes.
That sounds like something straight out of a science fiction novel. Is that even possible?
The science is still in its early stages, but the potential is enormous.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where we can not only bring back extinct species, but also help conserve endangered ones by
Right.
providing a safe and controlled environment for their offspring to develop.
That's mind-blowing. It's like we're on the verge of rewriting the rules of nature itself.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, it also raises a lot of ethical questions.
Right.
Are we playing God?
Yeah.
And what are the potential unintended consequences of bringing back creatures that have been gone for so long?
Those are incredibly important questions and ones that scientists and ethicists are grappling with right now.
Yeah.
It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
Right.
Some people argue that de-extinction could divert resources away from conserving currently endangered species, while others worry about the ecological impacts of reintroducing extinct animals into existing ecosystems.
That's a valid concern.
Yeah,
It's important to weigh the potential benefits against the risks.
absolutely.
Okay.
But it's also important to remember that de-extinction isn't just about bringing back individual species for the sake of it.
Okay.
It has the potential to restore damaged ecosystems, increase biodiversity, and even help mitigate the effects of climate change
Wow.
by reintroducing animals that played vital roles in their environments.
That's a really interesting perspective.
Yeah.
It's like using technology to not just recreate the past, but to actively shape a better future.
Exactly. And that's what makes this such a fascinating and thought-provoking area of research.
Right.
It pushes the boundaries of what we thought was possible
Yeah.
and forces us to confront complex ethical questions about our relationship with the natural world.
Well, this has been an incredible journey through the world of cutting-edge technology.
Right.
We've covered so much ground today, from TikTok's uncertain future to the race to space, from decentralized social media to the mind-boggling possibilities of de-extinction.
Right.
It's clear that we're living in a time of unprecedented technological advancement, and it's both exhilarating and a little daunting.
It really is. It's a time of both great opportunity and great responsibility. The
Right.
choices we make today will shape the world of tomorrow.
And speaking of choices, I think it's time we give our listeners a chance to weigh in on these fascinating topics.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the future of social media?
Yeah.
Are you excited about the prospect of de-extinction? Or do you think it's a step too far?
Right.
Let us know in the comments.
We'd love to hear your perspectives on these groundbreaking advancements.
Right.
After all, the future of technology is ultimately up to all of us.
That's right. Now, before we wrap up today's episode,
Yeah.
there's one more intriguing topic we need to explore.
Okay.
A development that could revolutionize the world of conservation and reshape our understanding of life itself.
Oh, this is a good one. It's a technology that has a potential to rewrite the rules of nature and blur the lines between science fiction and reality.
I can't wait to dive into this, but we'll have to save that for the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Stay tuned, folks, because things are about to get really interesting. Welcome back to Byte-Sized Tech. We've been exploring some pretty mind-blowing advancements in technology today, but before the break, we were teasing a development that could completely revolutionize conservation.
You know, it's fascinating how technology is constantly blurring the lines between science fiction and reality. What we're about to discuss is a perfect example of that.
So what is this game-changing technology you've been hinting at?
Well, we've been talking about bringing extinct species back to life, but what if we could take it a step further? What if we could not only revive extinct traits, but also create entirely new creatures designed to solve specific ecological problems?
Hold on, are you talking about designing new life forms? That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It might sound like science fiction, but the tools and techniques are already being developed. Scientists are making incredible strides in synthetic biology, a field that focuses on engineering and designing biological systems.
So how does this synthetic biology tie into conservation?
Imagine this. Scientists could design new organisms specifically tailored to address ecological challenges.
Okay.
For example, they could create microbes that can break down plastic pollution or plants that can absorb excess carbon dioxide from the atmosphere.
That's incredible. It's like using nature's own tools to solve the problems we've created.
Exactly. It's about harnessing the power of biology to create a more sustainable future.
But designing new life forms sounds pretty risky. What about unintended consequences? What if these engineered organisms escape into the wild and disrupt existing ecosystems?
Those are valid concerns, and scientists are very aware of the potential risks.
Right.
That's why there's a huge emphasis on rigorous testing, containment measures, and ethical considerations in synthetic biology research.
So it's about striking a balance between innovation and responsibility.
Absolutely. It's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible while being mindful of the potential impact on the environment and society.
It's fascinating to think about how technology is not only changing the world around us, but also shaping the future of life itself. It's both exciting and a little bit daunting.
I agree. It's a reminder that we're living in an era of unprecedented technological advancement, and it's up to all of us to engage in these conversations, ask tough questions, and consider the implications of these groundbreaking innovations.
Well, this has been an incredible journey through the world of tech. We've covered everything from TikTok's uncertain future to the race to space, from decentralized social media to the mind-boggling possibilities of de-extinction and synthetic biology. It's clear that technology is constantly evolving and is shaping the world around us in profound ways. Thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed the episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.